Nessa Morrissey, you are so welcome to Flock Culture. How are you doing?
Great. It's great to be welcomed in my own home. I really appreciate it.
This is the first one that I've done on the road.
Oh,
this is
wow.
the first one where the guest has been like, come to my house, which is very nice. Thank you for that.
Baby. You're so welcome.
We're on tour, baby. Appreciate it. Talk to me about the flop that you've picked. I'm so excited.
Okay, it's very niche, but that's okay. And I do feel like my whole stars have aligned for being asked to come on this podcast, because I will talk about this show rent-free to anybody who listens anyway, which is kind of a weird thing to bring up. So I'm glad that we have a whole thing dedicated to it. So it is Totally Scott Lee, which was a show on MTV in 2005, I think it was, about Lisa Scott Lee, formerly of Steps. She's going on a revival, I don't know if you want to say tour. She's on a revival journey to try and go solo, okay? And she basically has her first single that she's kind of doing on her own, on the cusp of the show coming on board. I think it gets to like 23.
23, yeah. The iconic moment.
Sorry, is like, she be doing well.
I was going to say, like, it's very interesting. The whole show kind of charts her essentially flopping, which is hysterical given the concept of this podcast.
Perfect.
But like, it's funny now because there are so many pop stars now who kind of can get away with actually not really charting at all, and they're still considered successful. So I'm like, was she just too ahead of her time? I don't know.
Trailblazer.
A trailblazer in some ways, perhaps. Did you watch this when it came out, or was it like a later watch for you?
No,
Okay.
it was. I don't know if I'm ashamed or proud to say that this is my third time watching this.
No, that's pride.
Okay.
Third time lucky, that's pride.
No, I remember watching it in real time, and it was like, we were kind of talking about this before the podcast, it was like in that era or time where like shows were just ruthless. Like reality TV was so mean. Like they destroyed the people who it was about. Like today you would never get a fraction of what was aired on that to make it to actual TV. So it was like perfect for a viewer, but like having gone back and watched it as an adult, like it's uncomfortable, especially like as a woman as well, because there's some parts of it that are like, I don't know if it's like on the cusp of problematic, but like it's not great.
No, I would agree, because I think the start of it is like, it's absolutely hilarious. And then as you're watching her kind of unravel towards the end, it is a bit like, you are kind of like, maybe I actually do kind of feel slightly sorry for you.
Yeah, there's two elements, because like she's a melt. Like, she is. You're like, oh, Lisa.
Very diva behaviour, because obviously she's coming off the huge success of Steps. Were you Steps girly?
No, like, fair play. No, it worked for me.
It's the most polite way of saying no ever.
Like, Boot Scootin' Baby was a moment.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, that's absolutely fair. But she's going off the massive success of that, and there's this anticipation that there is going to be like a solo career. So the show is kind of following her a year into the effort.
Yeah.
She initially is doing, so I think even before she started releasing solo music, she's initially managing her three younger brothers, including Andy Scott Lee, who's also featured in the show. Yeah, because he's in a group of their own called 3SL.
I couldn't remember if it was that or 3LW, but that was, I'm getting a little tired of little promises.
Promises.
Anyway, move on.
Too many bands with letters and numbers. They obviously don't really do much. So she does release a debut single. This is 2003, and it's Lately, which she co-wrote. That does reasonably well. It goes to number 6.
Oh.
She's another song then, Too Far Gone, which goes in at number 11. She ends up parting ways with her label at the time, which is Mercury. So she's like, okay, what am I going to do? She's an album recorded at this point called Unleashed, which is cancelled, even though like promotional samplers had been sent out already. So then she's like, okay, what do I do? She ends up self-funding this project with Intenso Project, this song called Get It On, and they self-fund the video and stuff, and that's where we meet them at the start of the first episode, because it's like, okay, she has this song, she's getting out there, she's like a sexy girl, like how is the track going to do, whatever, because Lisa throughout this whole thing also wants you to know that she's working very hard. She's a very hard-working girlie. She's a hard-working pop star.
Oh my god, would she stop? We get it. Oh, but we'll delve into that.
Yeah. So it opens, and it's that iconic first episode where it's like she's talking to her manager, who is Nathan Moore, who's also kind of a failed pop star, and it's
that man.
Beyond. We'll get into it. But it opens and okay, the song goes to 23. She's devastated. Yeah. She's like, we were B-listed on Capitol. Like, the song should have gone to number 1. And I get it, because obviously they've self-funded the video or whatever.
Yeah.
MTV are filming all this. MTV have the idea to be like, well, we're filming this as it is anyway. So, like, let's take this as a challenge.
Yeah.
Your next song that you do has to break the top 10 or you give up your pop career. So the show is essentially charting the work she's putting into getting the song and the work she's doing to promote the song. And there's this live show at the end to see whether she ends up making it in the chart. Like, saying it out loud, it would, as you said, it would literally never happen today.
No, and like, it's cruel, but like, it's gorgeous to watch. You know what I mean? I feel like, oh God, but you know, yeah, it's the end, by the end part as well. But like you were saying, the figures weren't like train wrecks. Like, I know Intenso, I think it was 23, and your man Nathan, the manager, who we'll talk about, he was like, you know, Lisa, like, it's a car crash. And she's like, well, I wouldn't say car crash, Nathan. Like, it's like an iconic clip that's like on TikTok and everything, but like, it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, because it's very interesting, because it's not really like, there aren't a lot of talking heads. It's very much like following them, so you're seeing every angle of it, and you're also seeing, because I don't think you see this with pop stars these days, you don't kind of see them showing their work when they all obviously want to be like number 1 and they all want to do well. But it seemed like at this time it was like, oh no, you don't admit that you want to do well. You don't admit that, like, not getting into the top 20 is a failure. Whereas you're seeing Lisa be like, this is shit. And like, she's openly saying this in radio interviews and promotion interviews and stuff like that. I know obviously it's tied into the show as well, it's the whole premise. But she's actually being like, yeah, no, if we don't get to top 10, I'm going to be devastated. Like, I put in so much work into this music for my fans. If I'm not getting the same response back from my fans, like, that's a bit shit. Like, it's so candid and it's so funny, and I'm like, I don't know if you're hearing yourself, like, what you're saying.
This is again where I'm like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, maybe shy, and then there's a real element of like expectancy there as well from her. I think just because you're putting the work in, like, it doesn't mean you're going to get. Now, in fairness to her, like, I don't think she was set up for success. Her manager is kooky dooky.
Yeah. He is, what's his name? Nathan. And he had been in a boy band called Brother Beyond as their lead singer.
Lets us know every 3 to 4 seconds.
Which I will say, that's the editors, and it's fucking hilarious, because Nathan's like, because when I was in a band and then it cuts and it's like just him in the music video, like, like typical 90s, 80s. He went on, as you said, like, he's managing Lisa Scott Lee, but he went on and represented a number of other Pop Idol contestants and stuff. Like, he didn't have a huge amount of success, but like, he's trying to manage Lisa. He's then also trying to manage her brother, Andy Scott Lee, who again, we've already mentioned, kind of another failed boy band, Pop Idol person. He's managing the two of them. He himself is still kind of performing in Butlins and like
Pontins.
And Pontins. Sorry, not Butlins.
Not even Butlins, babe. Pontins. Like, he booked Lisa for Mardi Gras in Cardiff.
But the whole of Mardi Gras. Yeah, it's somebody laughing at.
The soul of Mardi Gras. But he also booked himself on Mardi Gras, and it's kind of like, surely there's a conflict of interest here. And like, you kind of see that unravel as well. So sorry about that.
That's okay. She's a busy girl, girls. She's booked and busy.
I was like, Mom, text me during this. So you kind of see then they kind of push the funnel down further and further of trying to amalgamate Andy, the brother, and Lisa together. And as Fionnuala said, he's managing the both of them. And he starts to like make them try and launch their single on the same day. They end up getting signed to the same record label. They share a video set, essentially. It was like timeshare, which she did the morning and they did a quick fucking clean up and then he was on, you know. So yeah, like, she was never, considering all of that, I think the success she had with the song was pretty okay. And the song wasn't bad.
The song isn't bad, right? So the song is called Electric, and that's another kind of arc in the series as well, where it's like she wants to, Electric is very pop, electro pop, again, kind of in the realm of like, I'm a sexy girl, sexy girl. Yeah. And then the other track she recorded was Now or Never, which was way more like contemporary adult, like guitar, rock, raw, authentic me. Guy Chambers wrote Electric, and he also wrote a load of Brian McFadden songs.
And Spice Girls.
And Spice Girls, yeah, and Robbie Williams.
Yeah, they should have went that route.
Yeah. Yeah, but a good song.
It was kind of like a shit version of Padam, but like, that's okay. I was kind of like, I like this song. Like, I'm okay with this.
It's just so funny again to watch the tension between her and the record label team. So she, at this point, she was signed to, as you mentioned, the same label as Andy Scott Lee. It was Concept Records. It was a much smaller record label. Again, prior to this, you're seeing Nathan go around, like, he has this flip chart with all the labels written on it, and it's just like no written next to all of them. And he's going back to say that to Lisa, and Lisa's like, but they can't all say no. They eventually get the deal with Concept.
Yeah.
And again, you can see the struggle in Concept's offices because like they've obviously signed on because it's like, okay, we have an MTV TV show backing this and whatever, and like Lisa's kind of had a track record of like having songs, so like surely how hard can it be? But there's one woman in there, Roseanne, and is not about her from the get-go.
And hides it so well.
And hides it so well in front of all of the MTV cameras.
I know, but like, she's like, sorry, it doesn't work like that, which I understand because like I do think Lisa was trying to dictate their decisions, but then again, stuff you would never see today was like the record label exec, I think his name is Max.
Max
Bloom. And you're one, the other exec label being like, I mean, who even buys Lisa Scott Lee records? And it was like, you signed her.
It's, oh my God, it's beyond. And even that whole conversation around when they're like, when Lisa's going back being like, I think we should do Now or Never, and they're pushing Electric, and they like the two of them they're essentially hanging up on Lisa and being like, what the fuck is she on about? And Roseanne is essentially like, she doesn't know best. Like the artists don't always know best. Getting that insight was just so interesting. Yeah. But then like mashed into the show while you're following her solo career and these endeavours, you're getting insects of like Lisa Scott Lee and her life with her husband, who I'm going to be honest, I cannot believe she's still married to, but like it's fair play, happy for them.
He's an absolute dope.
Do you?
Oh my God, I thought he was such a good husband. No,
I don't know. Andy.
No, Johnny.
Johnny? Oh no, sorry, Andy's brother. Fuck's sake! Oh my God, Johnny. Yes,
this is my special subject.
Johnny was a member Hearsay as well. So again, sorry, we haven't mentioned the theme song for the show is essentially like taking the piss out of all of them, out of the fact that they're all essentially has-beens. Because I think initially they were positioning the show as like kind of the UK's answer to Newlyweds, and it was going to follow Lisa and Johnny because they had obviously just gotten married. But then also you've like Andy shoved in. Andy's going out with Michelle Heaton, who's in Liberty X at the time.
Which we have to get into. Like, it's like the pop culture crossovers just keep on going and going and going. And it's like, there's like, for me, there was like two shows essentially. It was like the Lisa Scott Lee career element, but I also was bet into the Andy and Michelle Keaton like element as well. You can definitely tell the family don't love Michelle.
Yeah.
It's not exactly hidden, and I thought it was so interesting because it was like so the time and culture of like the whole celebrity, like, you know, when celebrity was like a real thing, like Paps and like
tabloid, like real tabloid culture.
It was like obviously before times of social media, and that was like their currency. So he like was going to propose to Michelle and didn't tell any of his family because he was like, you know, obviously I don't want to mess up the tell-all with OK. And it was like, he was just being so transparent about it. Like, he wasn't even trying to like play it down as if that's not the reason we're doing this or whatever, you know. And then like Lisa and the husband then are like kind of giving it shit about them that they basically got engaged. And like Lisa's husband Johnny's like, I mean, like, does he even want to get engaged to her? He's just doing it to make her happy. And she's like, yeah, well, I'd want to keep her happy. I was like, this is gold.
It's how they set them up as rivals as well. It's just so mean because again, obviously Michelle is like riding high at this point with Liberty X. Again, they're kind of in a similar, they'd just released a song at that time and then ended up going number 4, and this is in tandem with Lisa's having a banger with Electric, trying to going around all of Cardiff to every radio station being like, will you please ring up every member of Steps, which she genuinely does, and it's like, can you please buy a copy?
She'll buy it probably.
It's absolutely beyond. I loved when it was Michelle's birthday, and again, like Lisa turns up with her 3 friends, absolutely pissed. You're getting this all on camera. They pretend, in inverted commas, to forget the present for Michelle.
Yeah.
Like, they're falling around the streets laughing that Lisa hasn't eaten properly that day, so that's why she's so fucked, and they're calling her Lisa Scone Lee because that's all she's eaten.
That was a belter.
I can't, like, it's just to get that insight, because it's like the things you'd be doing with your own friends on the night out where you're like, this is hilarious, but it's like MTV are capturing the whole thing and are watching it now and we're going to eviscerate you for it.
I know, one of my other favourite like lol moments was when she goes to see a celebrity psychic. I can't remember his name, but he gave Jackie Stallone energy.
Oh, majorly.
He was like, you're gonna be a star. And he was like, the people want Liza. And she's like, it's Lisa. And he's like, you need to be sexy. He's like, the denim jacket. She's like, no sexy. No.
No sexy. No.
He's like, who the fuck is this man? I love him.
How does it finish up then? We're across 8 episodes, and as I said, we're kind of following all of their lives and her desperately like on a mission to get back into the charts again. How does the series kind of conclude?
Yeah, she kind of essentially walks further and further off the plank, you know, and then number 8 is essentially we're watching her waiting her to drop.
Yeah.
You know, and it's cruel, okay, because they have her basically on MTV Live, right?
Yeah, so that like the 7th episode is live, or a bit of it is live, and it's introed by Emma Willis and an irrelevant male TV presenter. Sorry, don't care. Whatever. Happy for you, don't care. And they're kind of like, okay, so you're going to find out the results now after this with us, and we've kept you in a room all day, blah blah blah. And then the non-live portion is them kind of tracking the last few hours and the last kind of ditch efforts.
Yeah.
So then you come back from the break and it's Emma Willis being like, so we've kept you here, like, how are you feeling? Are you going to quit the music industry? Whatever, if this comes out and like, we haven't seen what's going on behind the scenes yet, but like Lisa actually already knows the chart position, and it's kind of, it's like a horror movie, how it unfolds.
I can't stop watching.
So Emma reveals the news that Electric has gone in at number 13. Yeah. And Lisa's like, it's still alright. It's still alright.
Her eyes are dead.
Her eyes are dead. Everyone's kind of like applauding in the background because all the full cast is there, like Michelle Heaton, Andy, Nathan. It's just her family is there. This confetti drops from the ceiling. It's one of the most miserable things I've ever seen in my entire life. And then to see what actually was going on behind the scenes, like before they go to air, that's a bit where I was like, oh, actually, maybe I do feel a bit sorry for you, even though you were acting like a massive diva.
Yeah, I do feel like it was like a public lynching a little bit of her, you know what I mean? Like, and Emma Willis opened the intro of the show being like, you are such a brave woman. Like, if somebody was opening with me waiting to find out what chart position was, I'd be like, yeah, I'm off. Yeah. Because like brave is not good sometimes, you know what I mean? But basically, as you were saying, Fionnuala, like they kind of knew the chart position, and the standoff that you alluded to behind the air off stage was basically finally somebody in her family was like, enough is enough, like you're just taking absolute fucking piss out of here at this point, because they wanted Lisa to stand there live on TV while they listed off the top 10 people, which obviously weren't her.
I shouldn't laugh, but like it's just insane to even think that anyone was like, it's nuts.
Bring it back.
Bring it back,
in a new era.
Bring it back, honestly. I love it. I think like the insight you get into their family, like we meet her nan and you get introduced with her nan, and her nan's trying to support her career, and her nan has some absolute fucking cracking one-liners.
Icon. Like she was like, on the first one, Lisa brings all the shit out, like I don't know, like her magazine cutouts and everything, and she's like to the cameraman, he's like, yeah, we hang it up because she likes us to think we take an interest. But like she's so, not the nanny now, Lisa, she craves praise of everything. Like at one point they were talking about Andy's relationship and whether he was going to get engaged. She stops the whole conversation to make everybody praise the flowers she's put in a vase. She's like,
sorry, I'm dead into flower arranging.
She's like, oh, I like flower arranging. I'm like, now honey, you put flowers in a vase. I don't even think you cut the stalks, you know. And then I don't know if you saw the clip where there's a daddy long legs in the kitchen and the dad is like pirouetting around the place trying to kill it, picks up a newspaper and she's like, no dad, that's me on it. And she's like, for God's sake, I look nice in that. And it's just like, you are like an egomaniac.
It's beyond. Like, it's funny when you read the Wikipedia page of the show where it says that Lisa and the other cast members had no creative control of the series, and Lisa Scott Lee was unhappy with some of the promotional material, notably the subtitle Desperately Seeking Fame, which like it is a bit rude, but it kind of is. Like, it's the entire consensus of the show. And I know there's an argument, you kind of see her at the end where she's like really struggling with the fact that she has agreed to, you know, I'm going to give up my music career if it doesn't break the top 10, and she's like, I'm really annoyed now because you can see her like performing in like clubs, whatever, and there's about 14 people there and she's like living for it, but then she gets off stage and is like, fuck, like I give up all of this if the song doesn't chart. And I think at that point she's also realised it's probably not going to. Like, and from that perspective I'm like, probably a bit shitty of the TV show, but again at the same time it's like, it's such a good concept, like, and at this point it was kind of make or break, so like why not have that over our head to be like,
I know. It's so offensive though for somebody to be like, right, okay, if this doesn't do it, you have to give up. You have to stop and leave us alone. But I do feel for me, Michelle Keegan is like the undercurrent icon in it. Like, she's so gas. Like, at one point Andy finally gets a record deal, God love him, and him, Michelle and Nathan, the communal manager essentially for the Scott Lees, go for drinks, and they pop champagne, and Michelle's like, oh, I'm welling up, and she's like, not welling up because Andy got a record deal, she's like, I'm welling up because it's Dom Perignon. This is perfection.
It's when at one point they're shopping as well, and this woman comes up to Michelle Keaton thinking she's Victoria Beckham, but repeatedly mispronounces Victoria Beckham, and so keeps saying Victoria Beckenham,
and she's feeding.
And Michelle's like, Michelle is furious. She's so like, mad. Same hair extensions, but so like mad. Is absolutely rotted.
But I do love, like, it's like a cultural study watching things like this as well. I'm obsessed with like the fashion. It's like,
I was just about to say, because even to go back to Michelle's birthday, like Lisa turns up in this, it's white halter neck top, this short green sequin
skirt. Dancing on ice.
It was like she's going out for Paddy's Day or something. It was just
massacre.
And it was the same for her own birthday. She wears this like tube top kind of dress, and it's like adds a sequin belt to it. It's just it is such a product of its time. I love, like, it's such a time capsule. I love it.
Yeah, or like her going like on the route to promote her single, like she goes to the opening of a Goldsmiths, which is like basically less than Fields, which Fields is fab, but like, you know,
shout out Fields.
Sponsored the bottom of Fields, but like it's just a really random thing in like a shopping centre, and they're like, so like, why are you here today, Lisa? And she's like, well, like, you know, I was asked, so okay.
Again, but it's that candidness and absolute lack of media training that it's like, what, you do not say that. Like,
we all assume that, but like, don't say it. But I just was in awe of the clothes. Like, there's Von Dutch moving around, there's like the Y2K sunglasses, there's a few gypsy skirts in the mix, a lot of cross chains on the men. It's so like authentic to the time. Yeah. And it's just, I love it.
You just reminded me of that scene when she is going to that jeweller's and they're in the shopping centre and they can't find the shop. So she goes up to those machines where you search and it tells you where it is. And she's like, afterwards, she's in awe at this technology. She's like, that's dead handy, that. I can't believe that. That machine.
It's so good at her impression. She's like, God love her.
I'm kind of obsessed. Like, could anything have prevented her career from flopping, or was it written in the stars? Like, do you think without the TV show, could it have been a success? Did the TV show contribute? What do you think?
Oh my God, Nathan is the flop.
True.
If he spent less time in Pontins. But like, considering like the 13 was like pretty good, and essentially they had 2 weeks to get a song, to get a record deal. So like, that's ridiculous. They didn't have any sort of like a proper media campaign. I know they had the MTV show, but like, people weren't really hearing the song. So I think, considering what she pulled off, despite the drawbacks she had and like the people in her corner, because they weren't rooting for her at all. It was like they wanted to see her fall nearly. Like,
you have a clip of Nathan turning to Andy Scottley and like saying that he thinks Lisa is difficult, which, like, don't get me wrong, from the show it seemed like she was, but like, you're saying that to one, her brother, to like a fellow client. It's just in some ways, I don't think any of them were like rooting against her, bar maybe Roseanne, but like it's really hard to watch, or Roseanne I should say, but it's really hard to watch that team and just be like, you were the only one steering this. But even in some ways it felt like she wasn't either. It just really felt like there was no clear identity as to who she was beyond Steps, and I think she struggled with that, but also was like, I don't know how to do anything about it, so we're just going to fling shit at a wall and see.
They were all just in a flap the whole time. But another thing that I did love, just to go back to like the era of like tabloids and all that, is when they staged a paparazzi shoot. Do you remember this? So it's like,
yes, with Now Magazine.
Now Magazine, and it's like the caption is like caught on camera, and they're like reading a magazine in the park, talking, and more bizarrely playing cricket. I was like, what in the world?
They go on so many bizarre hobbies in the show. At one point, Michelle and Andy are just like playing golf. I was like, what? And having an argument over the fact of whether they're going to get engaged. And Andy's like, can you hold the flag for me? Like,
I need a tea. Yeah.
I need a tea because she's absolutely laying into the grass.
Hockey and fucking golf. I was going to say golf pitch, whatever it's called.
This is not a sports podcast. This is pop culture podcast. Yeah, we mentioned Nathan. Nathan definitely had other motivations because he's been flat out on the reality TV shows since. He did, I think this was before Totally Scott Lee, but he did a musical revival program called Hit Me Baby One More Time. After Totally Scott Lee, he appeared on an E4 TV program called Boys Will Be Girls. I don't know if you remember this.
No.
This is so unhinged. So it was basically on Boys Will Be Girls, they made like a boy band, and the goal was, they put together a band of former boy band members, but they had to try and pass themselves off as a girl band. They were called the Honey Traps, slightly problematic. So they started by auditioning male singers who'd all been in bands before, and I think he was one of the coaches. To be managed by Olivier Bazadi and Nathan Moore, ex-lead singer of Brother Beyond. It was only once the final four had been selected that the twist was revealed. They were given the task of trying to pass themselves off as a girl band. One of the four, Martin Humes of JLS, backed out at this point and was not replaced.
Oh, stop.
Unhinged.
Marvin.
Unhinged. He didn't end up doing it, but it was like three other lads who I don't really remember.
How did that man keep getting jobs?
Truly.
Do you know when you look at your career and you're like, why the fuck do I have imposter syndrome?
Oh, I was just about to say, I was like, girls, if you're feeling bad about your job, or like, I don't know whether to apply for this, just watch Totally Scott Lee and watch Channel Nathan, absolutely. 2006 then, he issued a statement via his website announcing that he had stopped managing acts, RIP to that, and he's continuing to tour as a solo artist, occasionally with Brother Beyond. I think they were reformed at some point in the noughties as well. He was on The Voice in 2015, did not make it through to the second round.
He needs to pack it in, honey bun.
Yeah, not good.
Like, I'm not, well, I am, I'm shitting on it, but Pontins, if Pontins is calling, you may, retrain.
That's the field sponsorship gone, that's the Pontins sponsorship gone. Thanks, Nessa, appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Your brand.
Could you ever see them coming back to do something again?
Lisa Scott Lee?
Yeah.
So
I'd love a whole gang. I'd love like a little small reunion. I wouldn't need a full series program following them, but I'd love.
Yeah, like what Geordie Shore did, where they rewatched the show and comment.
Yeah.
I think they should, because I've got questions, But I know, I was looking it up, actually a couple of months ago, because I'm an absolute weirdo, not even research.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Podcast. But they are in Dubai now, and she's a teacher.
Yeah.
Like,
facilitator education, love that.
Well, she kind of gives school teacher energy a little bit.
She does, in fairness, yeah.
So, good on her.
Did you know her and Johnny were on a series of Celeb Air on ITV2? This is my fave ever. Post show, yeah. So this was 2008. They were both sacked in a double elimination as they abandoned their duties as cabin crew to go clubbing in Ibiza. They went to Eden for 2 hours.
Fuck off. She's just gone up in my estimate.
I swear to God, if you read any of their Wikipedia pages, it's just the best thing ever. The two of them did Weakest Link Celebrity Couple Special. They were voted off fourth. Brilliant.
I did love as well when it was their anniversary and they get dressed up in it reminded me of a Katie Price and Peter Andre's wedding, just bouffant everywhere. But it was white, and it was to go and have dinner in their conservatory. When she's coming downstairs in the wedding dress, I was so confused. I was like, are they not already married? Have I skipped an episode? I did the exact same thing. I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, oh no. And then he puts a garter on in the conservatory. And she's like, I just want to have a love affair with the public. I was like, what in the world? I need to get off my phone. I was like, I need to focus on this more. It's so bizarre.
Is there any other celebrity or musical kind of family that you'd love to get the Totally Scott Lee treatment? But it would be this kind of open, and it wouldn't be controlled or produced. All the music documentaries now are so controlled and produced. It would be as fly on the wall, as invasive, probably as mean as Totally Scott Lee. Who would you love to see get that treatment?
I will not rest until I find out what happened in the elevator with Solange and Beyonce.
So fair.
I will not rest.
So fair.
And I think it's going to be Blue Ivy who's going to tell us.
Yeah.
So that is one I would love to see, because I just say Beyonce is an absolute bollocks, and I just would love to see. I would just love to see it all.
Just get into.
Just give me the goss, give me the deets. Let me just deconstruct it in my mind and kind of piece it all together.
Yeah.
What would yours be?
God, probably Beyonce, or I know they've kind of already done it, but to do it modern day, I'd love to see Jessica and Ashley Simpson, but gearing up for their own comebacks and kind of charting that. You know what I mean?
Ashley Simpson never revived from the mime.
No.
I just think people didn't like her.
Yeah.
Do you remember then she was on Punk'd? Do you remember that episode?
No, I don't think so.
So she was on Punk'd just after that scandal happened, and she basically broke something in a shop. But she's got on camera being like to her friend, "You have to take the fall for me here. This cannot be me." And it was just like, oh yeah, no, you're definitely not coming back.
I really wish she'd do Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because she hangs out with some of them, but she won't. She's too private.
Hey, Ashley,
yeah.
did you ever read Jessica Simpson's autobiography?
I've listened to a podcast about it. Does that count?
You probably get the synopsis. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was so rich.
Yeah.
Mad.
She's one of kind of the first like the best celebrity who kind of capitalised off the coming up with brands and like being an influencer, you know?
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah,
Obsessed.
and it really solidifies how much of a weirdo John Mayer is.
Yeah.
Would
Not great.
recommend listening to that, folks.
Not a great fella.
No.
It's been such a pleasure. We've kind of given away the whole thing, but even like that's kind of the point of the podcast. But also, I'd love you to, for anyone who hasn't watched and is maybe coming to this podcast first, why should they watch Totally Scotty?
Oh my God, it's such a journey, okay? It's so ruthless, it's so real. And you're kind of invested as well to see how it goes. I mean, obviously, spoiler alert, we've kind of revealed the charge, but it's more the journey of it and just the pop culture crossover for me. It's just, to me, it's like the perfect British reality TV show. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to. And I don't know where you watched it, but I watched it on YouTube.
It's all on YouTube. Thank God for that person.
Seamless, yeah.
Ganak 13 or whatever your name is. That's public service broadcasting.
Fair play to you.
I'm so grateful for you. Yeah, look, she kind of flopped on the show, but I will say she did end up kind of getting the last laugh. She had her first full-length solo album, Now or Never. Never or Now, sorry, the original title of the second song. And it was released in South Africa first. March 26th of that in 2007. International Queen. Also love that, how it documents how it's like, oh, you flopped in the UK, but maybe we'll try other territories.
Yeah,
Never
they weren't
happens.
ready for
No, they weren't. She was ahead of her time. She was ahead of her time. Been a pleasure. Where can people hear more from you, Nessa, if they want to?
Oh yes, so you can catch me as co-host of Unveiled. So we are coming out with episodes every Monday wherever you get your podcasts, and would love you to tune in.
It's a great podcast. I've been on before. I'm not just saying that because I've been on before, but it's a great podcast.
You came up with the best line of all time where you describe somebody as the human equivalent of a carvery. Poetic justice.
Poetic justice, truly. Nessa, always a pleasure. You are always welcome back. But for now, thank you so much for being on Pop Culture.
My love. Goodbye.